o'clock. I'm hitting record. So welcome everyone to our New Jersey Business and Industry Association Sales and Marketing Roundtable. I am Donna Miller, and let me hand it over to Kate Conroy, who's going to tell us a little bit about herself and what's going on in the world of NJBIA.
Thank you, Donna. We at the New Jersey Business and Industry Association are thrilled to have helped in the creation of this amazing group led by such amazing women. For those of you who are new to NJBIA, we are the largest statewide business association in the country, representing approximately 1 million jobs in the state of New Jersey and offering customer development opportunities, visibility through events, magazine ads, or our podcast and TV shows, and money-saving discounts on stuff you're probably already paying for, like payroll, healthcare, 401k solution, and HR support. I am Kate Conroy, and if you're interested in more info on us, I will drop the website into the chat along with my contact info. Feel free to be in touch and we can get you whatever you need. And with that, I will toss it over to the wonderful Vicki Hart.
Oh my goodness.
Vicki.
Yay! Yay me! We celebrate ourselves. Be memorable. Hello, friends. It is such an honor to be here today. I am Vicki Hart, Director of Client Engagement, standing in for the one and only Rachel Durkin. Rachel is out today, and I am filling her ginormous shoes. So we are a workflow web brand and strategy marketing agency with superhero powers. And I believe every single person, every single organization has superhero powers, and our powers include generating quality leads, shortening sales cycles, and maximizing marketing investments with workflow efficiencies. Great stuff. So over the past 10 years, we have helped hundreds of businesses make millions of dollars in revenue. So if you're here today and curious how to make that happen, I offer a complimentary strategy session. I'm going to drop my information in the link. Please take advantage of it. It will be 30 minutes, I promise you, well spent. You know, none of this would be possible without sponsors. I always talk about it's so good to have friends. It's so important to have friends. And we are pleased to thank the people that make the Sales and Marketing Roundtable possible. First, I'd like to start out with my friend, Cal Thomas from Sandler Training. I am a Sandler grad. Paradigm Marketing and Design is a Sandler shop. Donna Miller, Sandler grad. I mean, I will tell you this firsthand. Sandler has taken my close rate from 30% to 70% by following the Sandler process. So if you are interested in learning about Sandler, definitely check out Cal Thomas at Sandler. You know, he works with successful business owners and teaches them how to constantly grow and strive to expand their business. So if you are finding that your sales cycles are longer, that you have an anemic pipeline, or your business is flat, or this actually horrifies me, if your salespeople are afraid to get in front of their prospects, you need to call Cal Thomas, and I will drop his information in the chat. He's offering 2 complimentary sessions that are coming up. I'll drop them also on Tuesday, October 5th, Management Skills for Employee Success and Retention. We all know how hard it is to hire talent today. So you're gonna wanna keep your good team players. So check that out. And on Tuesday, October 12th, 7 ways company are crushing their sales goals. So I will drop that information. If you showed up today, there's a lot of magic happening here. And then our next sponsor, and I love dearly Roseanne DeTorres of DeTorres and George Family Law. I just played golf with her yesterday. She's amazing. DeTorres and DeGeorge Family Law uses an iron fist in a velvet glove. I love that approach to settle her cases. As a result, they have a track record of settling 99% of the cases they take without going to court. DeTorres and DeGeorge can help you lose the weight of an unhealthy marriage. And coming up on October 19th, woo, you know, did you know that most sales and marketing communication, it isn't as good as it needs to be. And even worse, it absolutely collapses when your audience tries to retell your story. And what does that mean? It's to the key decision makers, your message is getting lost. So that second meeting isn't happening and your opportunity to close vanishes. So join us on October 19th as we host Tom Pollard, who is the CEO and founder of Oratium, a global leader in sales and marketing messaging. And we discuss the brain science, which I think is totally cool. There's actually a science, a method to this madness of messaging. So you get to learn how to engineer your communication in a way that will make it more robust and memorable in your first meeting. You only have one chance to make a first impression. And more importantly, how to survive. And I love this term, the retellability test. So definitely join us. I will drop the information in the chat. I know Donna is one of us are dropping that magic. You are not going to want to miss it. And so if you're a professional or an executive who wants to increase your influence and in your impact in your organization, a sales professional or a leader who wants to improve your personal or organizational sales outcomes, and your marketing or your marketing professional wants to build a memorable brand, you are not going to want to miss it. Donna, that is it for me. Thank you so much for my time to shine. But you're going to see.
Let's give Vicki and Kate a hand as they exit left. So who is ready to become masterful at being memorable? It's pretty awesome. So first of all, before we get into the content, just some really quick things. We have a really big crowd today. We have almost 400 people registered. Use the chat window. Vicki and Kate are going to moderate that conversation. If you have questions, you got to use the Q&A segment, not the chat window. We just won't be able to follow it. And we are recording this. So without further ado, let me bring the fabulous Clelia Pergola to the stage. So I've known, Clelia and Mina, you're going to have to unmute yourself. Okay, so Clelia is Chief Operating Officer at the New Jersey Elder Law Center at Goldberg Law Group. Did I get that right? Yay. Okay. So not only is she the Chief Operating Officer of a very amazing and successful law firm, she's a role model for women. This is a woman who's doing it all. She's raising children. She's taking care of older parents. The truth is, many of us are in that sandwich generation, and that's where Clelia lives. She does it gracefully. She does it with compassion. She models it for other women. And of course, the New Jersey Elder Law Center can help you with many of the issues that you might be facing when you're in that sandwich generation. And as if that wasn't enough, she is the author of the law firm Revolution, where she helps law firms to, and Vicki talked about this as well, create processes to scale. We're going to talk a lot about scaling today. She is a leading women entrepreneur, top 25. She is New Jersey Biz's 40 under 40. And if that wasn't enough, she's NJBIA's top 50 women in business. She's amazing. And Clelia and I have the great honor of interviewing Emily Vavra. Now, before I bring Emily to stage, I wouldn't be very memorable if I didn't tell you who I was and what I do. How silly would that be? Right? Okay. So I'm Donna Miller. I am Chief Visionary Officer at C3 Workplace, where for the last 20 years, we have helped thousands, and I do mean thousands of companies to start and grow. We do that by providing space, back office support, and bookkeeping so that you can focus on that which drives your business forward. That is now a part-time gig for me, and I spend my time as a business growth consultant working with business owners of B2B companies to help get them from where they are to where they want to be. And that all works backwards from what's your someday look like. Let's get some strategy going. So that's a little bit about me. And let me bring Emily Vavra to the stage. And I have to say that over the last year, because of Clelia Pergola, I have gotten to know Emily. Emily and I share a lot of values. And Emily, I don't know if I've ever said this to you, but I often refer to you as the younger, richer, prettier version of me. But But this is a gal who 10 years ago was like sleeping on a friend's couch. And at this point, she is a worldwide keynote speaker. And I love this. She is a purposeful entrepreneur whose calling, and she and I very much believe that what we do is a calling, is guiding other purposeful entrepreneurs to achieve their prestige, their grace, and to stay rooted and working in their zone of genius, because people, that's where the magic happens, right? So she packs arenas at this point. She has shared the stage with Tony Robbins, huge
Eric
speakers.
War.
Eric Ward. She last time I interviewed Emily, she had just shared the stage with Kate Hudson and Gwyneth Paltrow. And so to have you here is such an honor for us. I mean, she's been featured in Forbes, Good Morning America, Fox News, ABC. So Emily Vavra, you are such a generous spirit. I am so glad to be here on stage with you again. So welcome. Thank you. We have a huge crowd here today, and that's a testament to you. So, Clelia, why don't you kick off our conversation and let's start pulling all these amazing pearls of wisdom and tactics and tools and action items, something else Emily and I believe in, on mastering being memorable. So take us away, Clelia.
Absolutely. Well, I can't get started without telling you that I have been following this beautiful soul for a year. And when I first saw her picture, I was beyond intimidated. And I was like, you know what? Let me just send her like a quick message. She's never going to read it because, you know, people like her don't read messages like mine. And she answered back. And I can't tell you all the things that you just heard from Donna, all the things that you will read about her, the fabulousness that you will experience from her is nothing compared to the soul that she has inside. I am very lucky to have met this woman. And because of her, we share the same puppy. So I thought the topic is being memorable. So I would bring my little puppy. I know that she would love seeing her. She's lucky that I did bring my 4 chickens. Yes, I have chickens. So I want to just jump right in. Let's get started. Emily, tell us why being memorable even matters.
Well, first of all, I just want to acknowledge everyone involved in this beautiful event. And Clelia and Donna, thank you so much for believing in me and being my partner and friend. You both inspire me so very much. And welcome everyone. How's everyone doing? If you're in the chat, if you're grateful to be here, type a 5 in the chat, and let's get alive here for these next moments we have together to learn. So today it's all about becoming memorable and mastering influence, and how can you level up as a business leader, as a mom, as a wife, as a sister, as a friend. Or maybe you're someone even watching this right now and you're like, you know what, Emily, I've been a little funky, my energy's been a little low, and I'm just here because a friend invited me. I'm here to level up. And either way, I am so dang proud of you for being here. So what does it mean to become memorable? You know, some people might think, oh, does that mean that you stand out and you're popular and you have, you know, need to have pink hair and you need to have pink shoes and, you know, you need to just be so different? Is that what it means? Does it mean that you're loud and you're charismatic and you're extroverted? Is that what it means? And that is not what it means. If that's what you're thinking right now, that is wrong. That is absolutely wrong. What it means is to really make a lasting impression. Being memorable, what it is it's a transfer of energy that you are actually giving to someone else. And a lot of times it's a way that you make someone else feel. So when you're memorable, someone wants to learn more about you. They're intrigued. They're like, she walks a little different. She talks a little different. She's a bit positive. She went out her extra way to make me feel special. or they want to learn from you.
Mm.
They want to know a little bit more, and how they, whether it's conscious or subconscious, they wonder, how can I learn more from him or her? That's what being memorable to me is all about.
And Emily, that's so important. And I think part of that, correct me if I'm wrong, is showing people the not so beautiful side sometimes, right? How many times do you go on your Instagram and have a full-on mask? Right? So you
Yes.
show us like your beauty tricks. I know some friends have said to me, well, I really like stones. Like, who's gonna like stones? And I'm like, other people that like stones, right? So it's about being authentic and not trying to be someone different.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's everything. And whether you work for a company, you're an entrepreneur, we all are our own brands. And you are your own brand of beautiful, however that looks. Yes, men, you are your own brand as well. And authenticity trumps putting on a fake every time, putting on a face, putting on a front, if you will. That no longer works, because people, they want to buy from people that they feel like they can trust. They really are looking for people that are human, and no longer the ways that used to work back in the day of being fake, right? That doesn't really work anymore. And so I think it's vitally important to show all facets of who you are. Now, you could be a person of influence in one arena, but also show the human element of who you are, and that attracts people in.
Totally agree. And the other thing I want to say is, it always makes me think of the Maya Angelou quote: people won't remember what you did or what you said, they will remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
So let's kind of shift gears into some more tactical things. I and Clelia have both participated in the It's Emily Method program, which I'm going to talk more about later as well, because it's brilliant on a number of levels that I don't want you to think were missed on me. I got it. But one of the modules is about being memorable. And what I really loved about your concept of being memorable is it works at a dinner party, it works when you're at a networking event, and it works like within your team, because we've got an audience here of everywhere from solo to Fortune 100. So talk to us. First of all, tell the dinner party story. I loved how you make introductions at dinner parties, which I think translates right to networking. So talk to us about how you make people feel memorable when you're making introductions.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, how many of us have ever been to a cocktail party, a dinner party, a mixer? I think more and more people are doing small group things right now because of the given climate we're in. But so many times we walk into these environments and we only go to the person we know. Okay, I'm totally guilty as charged. Okay, I'll just admit it. And we just talk to that one person the whole time. And if that's you, I get it. But I'm going to challenge you to step out. If you're somebody that wants to become more memorable, type a 1 in the chat right now. Okay. Because I'm about to give it to you straight. Okay. When I started my business at the age of 23 and I was flat broke, I could hardly pay my rent. Okay. Definitely wasn't going to Target or buying new things, shopping. I needed to find a way to network and to make new friends. And I would get invited to networking events or dinner parties, and I am naturally an introvert. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm naturally just want to talk to the person who makes me feel safe. So I had to get out of my comfort zone because my dreams were bigger than my fears. And so what you can do when you are in these scenarios is, yes, obviously, someone invited you, okay, but circle up, get in a circle and ask each person, and this sounds so elementary, but we don't do it. Okay, who are you? Donna, hello. And you say your name and you go back and forth like we do introductions, right? We want to know more about them. And then when you find something about Donna and you find what her passions are, what she does for a living, you then even if it's not your party, introduce Donna to Vicky. Okay. And you make that introduction in the circle. So that way you're then helping Donna not feel awkward, Vicky not feel awkward. And now you're actually inadvertently, you're the one standing out because you're making these connections. And so that's what I did, what I do, what I continue to do, because I'm constantly bringing people into environments where they don't know each other. And the fastest way to change the energy in a room is to get people to feel comfortable. And it's also to get people to feel heard. Okay. So it's not about you talking about yourself and how fabulous you are and what you do for a living. Yes, maybe that's an entry point, but you want to connect people to each other as fast as humanly possible. Now, when you go to sit at a dinner table, okay, what I always like to do, because, you know, naturally we have the people that sit by each other and they only talk to each other. I like to bridge the gap. I like to bridge the gap and go, you know, a kitty corner across the table and include people into the conversation. And it might be something about the conversation we had previously at the cocktail hour, but I'll even say, you know, hey, you're new to the Southern California area, you know, Janet is new as well. She just moved from New York. Why don't you tell us about your experience, Janet? And I'll ask questions to get people to start talking. Okay. And this may seem, again, some of you, it may seem elementary. Others, you're like, I'm scared. Okay. But here's the deal. When you make people feel valued, appreciated, welcomed, it changes the energy in a room. Okay. And then they now feel like they can let their guard down, and it changes the whole experience for other people. But what I have learned in business and indeed life is that you have to be the person, the bigger person that takes care of people in these scenarios. And we are in an environment now where people have forgot how to do this. They have forgot. Okay. So this is how you end up standing out. Does that make sense?
Love it. And you know what else I really love about this? First of all, my company, the C3, stands for Connect, Collaborate, Community. So I get it. I breathe. I drank the Kool-Aid. I get it. But the thing I also love about this is I also am an introvert. I would rather speak in front of 400 people, which we're kind of doing today, than walk into a room of 10 people I don't know. That's the gosh darn truth. So it also gives me, the introvert, a purpose to be in that room. So it makes me, the introvert, feel more comfortable too. It gives me a reason to be there. So I love the idea. And the other thing I think is that, you know, we have sales teams on this call. I think making those connections within your sales team or within your corporate team also, you know, we all have to work together. Even though we have a personal brand, when we're with a corporation, we're there to achieve the corporate goals. So what better way to do that than to network? I mean, you've got 145,000 people on your team. So, you know, you're facilitating that all the time. So I love that concept.
Oh, what I want to say to that, because we have a lot of leaders on this team, a lot of business owners. One of the best things you can do is highlight someone when you're doing those introductions and say, you know, this is Donna. She is so well known in the business space. She even has a Stevie Award. She is just known for changing energy. Her zone of genius is organization. And, you know, so doing that and introducing people in that regard. I mean, I know we're talking about, you know, Donna, who's got all these accolades, but the thing is, by doing that, you're then edifying Donna to another partner, and they can now, you know, feel like they can collaborate, and you're doing so much more by doing that than you'd even understand, because then Donna's thinking, wow, I'm appreciated, you know.
What a business model, right? So yeah. I want to get to, Clelia is going to talk to you about social media, because as Clelia knows, I have a love-hate relationship with social media, but I just want to talk about a couple of tactical things before we go there. You know, you are in network marketing, and, you know, people have differing viewpoints of network marketing. I'm really impressed with it. And I think that the parallel between network marketing and B2B marketing, which is what I think most of our audience is that our job is to create raving fans, to create centers of influence, and build team. You've done that 145,000 times. So talk to us a little bit about how being memorable will help you to create those strategic partners, those centers of influence, and how it gets you on stage.
Yeah, such a great question. Well, it does come back to how am I making someone feel? Remember, being memorable isn't me standing out and being so great. It's about a transfer of energy and instilling belief and vision in someone else. And so how I've attracted great partners is, first of all, showing up as my authentic self, because the minute I let my guard down and I'm just who God created me to be, it allows other people to do the same. It gives other people permission. They feel comfortable because they can see that I'm comfortable within myself, if that makes sense. So I've attracted other partners in and really have asked them questions. Good leaders ask great questions. So when I am recruiting someone, if you're in the business of recruiting, if I'm prospecting someone to potentially become a business partner, I figure out if they're going to be a good fit, if they even want to do this, if we would even match, through asking a series of questions. And it's not the BS questions like, oh, where do you live? And blah, blah, blah. It's, are you doing what you love? Do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel challenged? And, what would you do if money or time wasn't an object for you? If it wasn't an issue for you, what would you be doing? And then I ask them deeper and deeper and deeper questions. So I'm layering the questions. Okay. And it's allowing them to really, cut the BS and connect with me on such a deeper level. So we build that trust. And then from there, it's an evolutionary process. Leaders don't emerge overnight. Learn, do, teach, learn, do, teach, learn, do, teach. That's really what we do in my form of business until someone can go on and do it themselves. And how this leads to a bigger grandiose scale is really, I always share this with people, but I'm like, if you can't lead in a small place, why on earth would God promote you to a big one? And that's just my belief. The reason that I am where I am today is because, I literally remember doing a presentation and speaking to women in a janitor's closet of a rundown massage therapy place in rural Minnesota. And, I poured my heart into these women on how they could gain more confidence and how they could create more wealth for their life in this tiny little janitor's closet they were trying to eat lunch in. And that's where I practiced. That's where I, really started to realize that, I could make a bigger impact. And through that repetition, it's led me to bigger stages, bigger impact, but you have to start somewhere. And so many times I get messages from my podcast or online and they're like, how can I get on these big stages and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, are you willing though? Are you willing to start to develop skills? Are you willing to serve people? Because it's about your intent. It's absolutely about your intention. And if you have the intention of wanting to make an impact, start in a living room, start outside, start small, and it's going to compound over time if you have the right intention, if you cast a vision. So many people, they don't have a vision. I'm like, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you in the business that you're doing? Is it just to pay the bills? I get that. But if you want something bigger, you have to have a bigger vision. And our challenge in life is to keep expanding that vision and to not get stagnant.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that brings it to our next conversation with social media and what we've been talking about as far as being authentic. And it's not about just what we do. I mean, some of us are very lucky, like myself. I was a caregiver and I help caregivers. So it's very easy for me to have that conversation. But I think it's about talking about what you believe in. Don't talk about anything else, because if you don't believe it, people are going to read it, right? And that's the conversation about being fake. And people will be able to read your expression, whether you are really passionate about this and if you really want to help them with it. So social media, I know it's something Donna loves and hates. I'm very proud of her. She posted this morning. Everybody should go like the post. Okay, we want to support one another when we do things. So and Emily, you were a part of that confidence for her to post. So I know social media has been a huge part of me building my brand out there. But tell us some strategies, because even myself, I find it so hard to be consistent.
Yeah, such a great question. Type a 5 in the chat if you are trying to build your business on social media, or if you know that you should be on there more because it's free. This is free. And when I started my journey, I had no Instagram and 900 Facebook friends. And remember, I told you, like, I was living under paycheck to paycheck, and this was such a beautiful way for me to get my message out. Now, the strategy with social media, if you are having the intent of, I want to build a brand, I want to build a business, I want to build a presence, you have to, first of all, think long game, infinite game here. This thing is not going to happen overnight. It's going to, build time to build trust with your audience through consistency. And so automatically, if you get that out and you're like, I'm in this for the long game, it's going to be better psychologically for you. Okay. But first of all, your thought process needs to be, what can I give? What can I teach? How can I serve? Okay. What can I give? Okay. What can I teach? How can I serve? And I always recommend people to take a piece of paper out and think of whatever you're selling, whatever your message is, just brain dump it out. What are all the things you could teach people? Okay, because people now are going on social media, they're connecting to people, not just because they want to see your kid, maybe your mom or your grandma wants to see that, but they want to know what's in it for me. Okay, so if you can add value to people's lives, that's how you are going to gain more traction, more of a following. I'll just give you a little example. Finance guy that I follow, tax guy that I follow, his whole page is entrepreneurs, tax tips, tax stuff you don't know about being a home-based business owner. I mean, I learn stuff from him all the time that I'm DMing my tax advisor. I'm like, did you know this? Did you know this? And, he's like, I'm on vacation with my family and here's how to write off a portion of it, blah, 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 And so I'm getting a tremendous amount of advice from him in that niche market. Okay. So you really want to think to yourself, what can I teach people? Can you teach me how to fold a fitted sheet? I don't know. I really don't know how to. Okay. Or can you teach me how to make some muffins and not burn them? You could probably teach me that as well. Okay. So again, you want to write all this stuff down and add as much value as humanly possible. So what you're doing, is value, 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 sell. Value, 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 sell. Okay. But your business, what you do should be your essence. It should be a part of your day. So for me, I sell health and wellness products. It's in my day. So in my stories, it'll float through. That's attraction marketing. Okay. But I'm adding as much value as possible. And that's shareable, that grows your following. But like Clelia and I said in the top of this call, is that I believe, especially if you want millennials to buy from you and younger, you need to show that you're a real person and you're not perfect. You are perfectly imperfect. So it's this blend of, I have influence, I have authority, I know what I'm talking about, but I'm also a human that has bad days, that doesn't wear makeup sometimes, that get sick at times, that has moments with your kids that you feel like you're going to break down, because they can relate to that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think that's just so important. When COVID first started, I decided to come out and say that I suffer with anxiety. I suffer with panic attacks. And I told people that I take my shoes off and I walk around in my grass in the front yard to calm down. And I got so many warm messages telling me that their loved one suffers with anxiety. Can I talk to them? Thank you. I thought I was the only one. Now, this is something I was ashamed about, but look how many people I touched by something that I just wanted to bury deep down inside. So I think it's so important. But and I think for some people, it just comes easy, right? Like I said before, you're passionate about something, you're able to talk about it. But what about those that maybe they're just starting off their new business, or they're working for somebody else and perhaps they're an executive or in marketing? How do they bridge the gap between a personal strategy and the business?
Yeah, so good. And we're all in such different places here in life. I mentor a lot of people that work full-time careers. They're blessed that they get that paycheck, but they have massive passions to build their own businesses. And so for people like this, okay, I always say you need to have a plan. So what I would do is pick one day of the week where your day's a little lighter, law of sacrifice all day long. You may have to carve out time where you create content, because when you're so busy, it can be very difficult after a long day of working 9 to 5, putting food on the table, getting the kids to bed, to go, okay, now I'm supposed to be, Patty positive on Instagram. It can be so difficult to do that. And so what I do is I challenge people on a Saturday afternoon, create content. You can take photos, you can take videos, and you can just save it to your phone, save it to Dropbox. And then you can have more of a strategy to post it throughout the week. But for you that are newbies, a challenge is literally post 3 times a week, 3 times, and then start to go on your stories, because the stories are they're not perfect. They're behind the scenes. They're the day-to-day, right? They're you at Starbucks. It's very simplistic. It doesn't need to be so curated. But I would say post 3 times a week for sure. And then if you get in trouble, you're not supposed to do this because of your business, you could change your Instagram name. You could make it a different name, a different subject. So that way you're not blurring lines. Okay. So you have separate businesses.
And I know something that you said to me was, for my business partner, he's a certified elder law attorney. He's like, what do I post? Like about Medicaid applications? I'm like, nobody wants to hear about that. So I said, you like vintage cars, you like vintage watches, you like to mountain bike, right? And that's what you said. Suggest that he posts about that. And then when we share his blog, when we share all of his speaking engagements, that will be incorporated. So he's authentic, he's himself. And now he actually said to me, so thank you, Emily, he said, there's a guy in my town that reached out to me. He is a financial advisor and he wants to go mountain biking. I'm like, see?
So cool.
Emily was right. That is the power of social media.
Awesome.
Yeah. And we just to play off of that, I know that every single one of us right now can think of things we're passionate about that have absolutely zero to do with our businesses, but you're going to attract people in. I mean, my dog Hugo has an Instagram account and I'm connecting with other owners that have Shih Tzu Bichons. It's like because of our dog, you know what I'm saying? And so sometimes our businesses can feel like boring, or you kind of feel a little stuck. Switch it up and start talking about things that, you would talk about all day long that you don't get paid for. And that will attract, people that have that common ground. I have a friend that has twins and she talks about being having a set of identical twins, and she has attracted other moms that have identical twins, and she, brought them into her business eventually. So
awesome. So, and for those of us who are not millennials, enough said, and in the B2B world, I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. So that is probably where I spend most of my time. And my feeling about LinkedIn, you said value, sell. I say engage, post. So I'm always trying to comment on other people's posts so that, again, I can make them feel like I'm listening, like I'm hearing them. And, one of the things, just before we segue to our last conversation about teams, one of the things I always say to people, and Emily, I'm going to push back on you here. The social media platform is free. Your time most certainly is not. So you got to pick your poison. You got to pick your strategy, and you have to monitor for an ROI. Now, you've built an amazing following. Your ROI is very clear. I know for me, it is about thought leadership. It is about attracting partners. It is about, you're even a spokesperson for some pretty freaking amazing products at this point. You're having lots of fun with that stuff, I'm thinking. So I think, like any other piece of your strategy, you need to monitor the return that you're getting. So before we go to Q&A, and again, be sure to use the Q&A segment of this Zoom platform. You have 145,000 salespeople. Many of the people on this call have sales teams. All of the people on this call should be thinking about scaling their business. How do you create process to scale your business, whether it's you, whether it's your sales team? And what I love about the It's Emily Method program is that not only does it attract new talent for you, but I have to imagine part of the creation was, oh my God, I have so much content. How can I put this in a format where I can empower my team? So talk to us a little bit about your strategy. And, network marketing is amazing. You raise up leaders. So talk to us about how we should be replicating ourselves and raising up leaders and building sales teams that may look like traditional sales teams, or they may look like raving fans, or your cohort or your pod. Talk to us a little about the team element.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I want to always share. Okay, I really truly wish I had a video camera on me in my first 5 years of this business, 8 years of this business, because you see 11 years of me grinding day in and day out and day in and day out and day in and day out, saying no to spring break and things other people have done to develop myself. And you know what I used to post, and my mom and my aunt were the only people that liked and comment. Okay. And I really want to make that abundantly clear. Okay. But duplicating leadership and having huge teams. I mean, it all starts with identifying who is someone that could do what I do, who's somebody that has potential, because we can't mentor everyone. Type an 11 in the chat if you've tried to save everyone. And let me know right now how difficult that can be. Okay.
Can I put it in numerous times?
Yes, I was the queen of trying to save everyone in my beginning of my build. I remember like mentoring people. I felt like I was a therapist, and I was like, I am not qualified for this. And so again, through asking questions and giving assignments, I know some of you were like, I didn't like school. Okay. But when I identify who's a potential good partner and I start to give them assignments, I see if we're going to ping pong. I see if we're going to match energy for energy. I see how it is. And if there's somebody that I'm going to have to drag across the finish line, okay, or I'm going to have to push their butt into the end zone, I'm not doing it. Because I would rather spend my time investing in someone who's eventually going to step in and do this when I'm not babysitting them. Okay, so that's how I have grown tremendously in my career in network marketing, and now in other things that I do. I really look at where's that equal energy exchange, and my leverage is duplicating leadership through mentorship, but also using systems. So systems are your BFF for everything, for goal setting. Okay. And you guys know this in the It's Emily method. It's not about just making a vision board. It's about reverse engineering it. It's about bite-sized goals. It's about making, stuff happen, right? We know that through our daily habits, but having systems in everything you do. I have multiple different businesses. So I have a system for the podcast. I have a system for It's Emily. I have a system for my network marketing team. I have an onboarding system. So if I was gone and I just decided to go to Cabo right now, okay, they could still go on. there is still a Wednesday night call pitching our opportunity that, guess what? Until Christmas, I only do it twice, and it happens every Wednesday, right? They know what to do to get started because there's systems in place. And so sometimes these systems seem overwhelming and they take time to set up. It took time for me to build out a website where my new member could join and they would get trained up, duplicate right away. That took time to do, but you got to slow down to speed up. And that's how you duplicate. And then you also have to look at, and I love that Donna said this, because time is money. And when I knew that I wanted to change my family lineage and I wanted to just create something epic and I wanted to be a millionaire, I wanted to make $500 an hour, 7 figures a year. That was what I wanted to do at the age of when I did that at 26. I looked at my time and how much is my time worth? And I started to still be present in the moment, but I started to think, okay, is this worth my time? Is this worth my energy? Or could I hire somebody else to do this? And as a neat freak, a control freak at times, I'm going to tell you right now that this was and still is difficult for me to let someone else take over, but it allows me to free myself up to do what I need to do to continue to grow my business, my empire, which overall impacts people's lives. And that's a greater mission. So it's a shift in mindset. I know that was a whole heck of a lot.
No, I totally get it. And I think if you know, one of my core values is impact. And if I want to leave the world a better place, then that means I have to show up and help as many people as possible become the best version of themselves. So, and what great energy to be around. So Vicky Hart, let me bring you back to the stage. We're coming up on, we had a ton of questions at the beginning. I don't even know what's in the Q&A. Clelia, anything you want to add before we go to Q&A?
I'm on fire right now. I love every time I talk to you. And in the beginning, I really wanted to say something. Can everybody just get up? I can't see you. So I'm going to trust everybody right now that everyone's getting up because I'm asking so nicely. And just shake it out. Just shake.
Yes.
Okay. Because like, I'm so excited for like the rest of the day and what I have planned. So thank you, Emily. Thank you, NJBIA, Vicky and Donna. Thank you for having me a part of this.
Absolutely. So Vicky, what do we got in the way of Q&A for
Oh my
the fabulous
goodness.
Emily Vavra?
Like the energy is vibrating. So thank you, Emily. You're ridiculous in all the most amazing ways. Just amazing. We have so many questions for you. You really ignited people. So our first question comes, how do you, and I think this is a great question. How do you keep track of separate businesses on social media? You know, it's like sometimes you get people's Christmas lights get all tangled up. Do you recommend having separate accounts and highlighting each one, or should we have one page?
Yeah, great question. So I know this to be true. You got to pick one lane and drive it deep. You got to pick one business and do it well. A book that I think you should all read, that's my favorite, is called Essentialism. And it deeply impacted my life because I was trying to do, and this is most people in society, 500 different things. You're making minimal progress to the things that matter most to you. So if you pick 1 to 2 things in life and you drive it deep, you're going to create what's called momentum, which is, you know, usually then you have success from that. And so when it comes to this question, I would just do what's the thing that you're working on the most and get really, really good at that, because otherwise your content can get diluted. And I also believe that a lot of people now are purchasing, whether they're looking for coach businesses, again, like I said, from people that they want to know. So you can mix them. You absolutely can if you want. That's what I do. You'll see me post about my health and wellness products. You'll see me post about my podcast. You'll see me post about, you know, fashion tips, right? All the different stuff. You'll see me post about, you know, being at my grandmother's funeral. You see it all. But, you know, I really, again, believe for most people, you just need to get good at one business, one thing, drive it deep.
I agree with that. And I just want to jump in on that one because I think if you're too fragmented, it's a symptom. So
Mm.
if you can't have everything you do, leverage everything you do, then something's not in alignment. And I think you need to go back and look at your strategy and see if you need to do a little weeding.
Yep, very good.
Excellent point, ladies. Now, this is a question. I think this is a terrific question. How do I differentiate myself in the sensory overload of a market? What a great question.
It's such a great question. First of all, is be consistent, because a lot of people are not. A lot of people's credit score is so low. And I don't mean, your actual credit score. I just mean when I always look at people's credit score. Can I trust you? Can I rely on you? And so many people start and stop and start and stop and start and stop. So there's really, subconsciously for people, it's like, gosh, could I rely on them? So number one, be consistent and be you. As cliche and boring as that might be, like really be you. And when I first got into business, not knowing business, not going to college, I remember this vividly. I was at a business conference and a lot of the women are my role models, but they're a lot older than me and we're just different. We're just different. And I remember thinking to myself, do I need to edit myself? Do I have to change myself? Do I need to change the way I look, the way I dress? Should I not talk about my faith because they say not to talk about their faith? And I was having all this mass confusion. And I'm like, what's this worth if I can't be myself? What is all this worth? It's not worth anything to me. So I decided in that moment, I remember it vividly. I was in Arizona at the Marriott. I was in this conference room and I was like, I'm going to be who God created me to be. And I'm not going to change myself. And that's the way I'm going to show up on social media too. It's no different than if you and I just went to coffee right now. I'll say quirky things that I would say on my Insta stories. Okay. So how you stand out is by not being a copycat and by being yourself and leaning into that and being consistent.
Right. And remember, all of that goes to being memorable, which leads to influence, which leads to momentum, which attracts the right partners, which has people talking about you. So again, everything leverages everything.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting question that from my friend Renee Bogart. What is the one thing you should be memorable for?
I believe, and this is personal, but I believe it's how I make somebody else feel. I really do. My prayer, my intention, whether I'm shopping, getting a coffee, walking my dog, doing a business meeting, I want to help other people know and feel that they matter and then that they're important.
All how you make people feel. From Sunita Hall, she asked, what platforms do you use for project management and how do you utilize them? You need some organization to make an empire happen.
Yes. I don't endorse this company. I mean, I should. I love Trello. If no one has tried Trello, it's really great. Like, for example, Trello, using it for my network marketing team, my assistant's on there. She can see, what's the upcoming calls for the week, the badges, the stuff that needs to be created for digital assets. My podcast editor is on there. So there's different boards for different subjects. And then you can tag each other when it's done. So like yesterday, I just dropped a podcast episode and my editor tagged me in Trello and said, here are your digital assets. Got the notification, downloaded them from Dropbox, and then put them on Instagram. So it's super easy. So, and I also love Dropbox as well. But Trello is really great. So go explore those.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to piggyback on that, we happen to use Asana, but Trello is great too. The thing I love about these project management softwares is, again, in the spirit of process, scalability, and being able to replicate. If you've got a process for a podcast and next month you have a podcast, you're literally just you're creating a string that has all the same exact tasks in them. It could even be who they're assigned to, what the timeline is. Project management is key to getting a lot of shit done. There, I said shit on NJBIA.
Things just got real.
I was gonna say that word too. Yeah, no, for real. And you can also, for my leaders out there, you can oversee stuff. So sometimes we get resentful of our employees, of our teams, because we're like, are you even doing anything? You know, or like, are they dropping the ball? And like, I can see what's happening, and that makes me feel comforted. Okay, I'll just say it.
Right. I
It's
agree.
out there.
And I often say I'm a recovered micromanager. So project management allows me to not micromanage, but feel like I know what's going on, which lets me sleep at night.
Right.
Do we have time for another question, Donna? We're
Yes,
at
you go ahead.
12:55.
One more question. And then
One
we'll
more
kind of wrap up.
question. Okay. So Jessica, please excuse me, Jessica J. We're just going to shorten you. When building your network marketing community, what has helped you create such a large and unified organization?
Good question. And
Great
that applies to
question.
anyone. I don't care if it's
Totally.
network marketing or whatever. Good question.
Any type of business. I mean, the key is, again, I know I keep saying it, but it's this consistent day in and day out type of thing. Again, in this type of business, because it's a volunteer army, okay, or any entrepreneurial business, you don't have someone coming to you saying, hey, did you work today? So creating consistency, even in the beginning when I was making $54 a week, but still going, it was my vision. So that's the other aspect of the whole thing. How you create a big company is vision. Without a vision, the people will perish. And I got very clear in the beginning of what my vision was and who I wanted to impact and why we're doing what we're doing. And that is something that is constantly baked into our team culture. Every single week, we remember why are we doing this? Like, why? And constantly re-enrolling people into the vision is absolutely so important for any kind of company. Why do we do what we do? You know, do we want to make women feel empowered? Do we want to make people feel better? Do we want to help people with their finances? Why do we want to do that? Why do we want to be different than all the other companies out there? And so again, it's going back to the why, and then it's duplicating leadership. That's how you build any kind of team. It is not me. It is the people that I've attracted, and the teamwork is essential.
Had a couple people, Emily, ask what product you sell. That's up to you. I don't know if you wanted to share.
Yeah, yes, just send me a message. But what I'm passionate about is collagen. So I sell a liquid collagen, and weight loss products and cellular nutrition.
Awesome.
Excellent. So just to recap, we talked about why being memorable is important. I think no one would be here if they didn't know it was important. We talked about how to be memorable in that little one-to-one situation, whether it's a dinner party, whether it's networking, or whether it's within your team. We talked about how to be memorable in social media. We talked about how to be memorable as a leader. And as I was just saying, everything you do needs to leverage everything you do. And you see how it all fits together now? And Emily, you talk about consistency. So if you create a strategy and you execute it over time with consistency, that's your path to being memorable. And that absolutely fills your pipeline, increases your close ratio, and improves your bottom line. No doubt about it. And Emily, you are so gracious and so generous, and a living testimony to doing good and building wealth. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you. Now, Emily, we're going to do some follow-up emails because we're all here because that's what we do. Vicky's going to be in charge of that. So we'll do some follow-up emails. You'll get a link to the recording. You'll get a link to next month's podcast. And we do this every third Tuesday of the month. And Emily has graciously offered to give each of you, is it the first module of the It's Emily Method program. I highly recommend you check that out. It is chock full of actionable tools, tips, and advice. And, you know, I think we all need to revisit those basics on a regular basis. You never don't need them. But I also want to encourage you to check out the It's Emily podcast, which is how many episodes now? I've been following them. There's, I don't know,
I think
10 or so. Okay, I was gonna say,
Yeah, 3 months. So we've been going.
again, we all listen in our cars. So check out the It's Emily podcast. Emily, you're amazing. I thank you. Vicky, you did a fantastic job. Kate, thank you to the NJBIA, and thank you to our sponsors, New Jersey Elder Law Group at Goldberg Law, DeTorres and DeGeorge Family Law, and the fabulous Cal Thomas from Sandler Sales.
Woo, I feel like we need some clappers or maracas or something.
Thank you.
We thank you. Emily, you're amazing. Thank you all so much.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Go be memorable, people. You've got the rest of the day. You've got, I don't know, there isn't that much time left in this year. So set yourself some major goals. And as Emily said, your dreams need to be bigger than your fears. Go make it happen. Thank you all very much.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.